Hello and welcome to our first episode of Marion's podcast. This is Evelyn here, and I'm one of the co-founders of Marion. I have the pleasure to have two of my other co-founders with me today. John, who is also our CEO, and Andrew, our COO. We will be speaking about the importance of stock investing and also introduce you to our soon-to-be launched stock trading simulator app. Without further ado, let me introduce you guys to John and Andrew. Hello, John. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. All right, John and Andrew, can you please tell me a bit about yourself and also when did you first start investing in stocks and why stock investing is important?
Well, just to kick things off, I'm a trade finance technologist and a business strategist for the better part of over the past 15 years. And I've counted myself lucky to have worked with some of the biggest names in banking and finance. I've also co-founded a trade finance fintech a couple of years ago. I exited the business, and here I am ready for another ride. On my stock investing experience, I have many fond memories and hard lessons from when I first learned about stock trading when I was 18, and I skipped school quite frequently to go to a trading floor to learn, and then subsequently to trade even before I earned my first paycheck from my savings.
I'm an economist by profession, having been in the industry for 20 years and have worked in both the private and public sectors. I only started stock investing about 5 years ago and mainly in the US stock market. I think stock investing is a great way to build your wealth over the long term if you have the patience and discipline. And a lot of research has been done comparing the average long-term returns from different investment methods. And stock investing has always been one of the top, if not the best method to grow your money.
Thanks, John. Indeed, a very interesting journey. And Andrew, yes, a lot of research have been done in terms of, comparing average long-term returns from different investment methods in stock investing. But as a beginner investor, I guess it's always very daunting to think about the process of opening a trading account itself and looking at the numbers of companies flickering every couple of seconds on screen. If we compare the old age teletext, and now we have like the likes of RHB dashboards, with all the numbers. So what I remembered was when I first started investing some years ago, I was totally at a loss as to what I should do. So what were some of the barriers for you guys when you first started stock trading, and what did you do to overcome those barriers?
Well, I think for myself and for anyone for that matter, any hint with tips would be a nice place to start. You're right? There's so many counters to choose from, and there's so much news everywhere, and it would be nice to have a path through the proverbial fog of war, so to speak. I had to ask my advisor for tips, which in hindsight was a bad idea, when I first started trading.
The biggest barrier for me would be really to find the time to actually research, undervalued and promising stocks and companies. It's one thing to read in the news about this company performing very well and that stock is going on a high growth trend. But at the end of the day, how much trust should you place in those news items, isn't it? So yes, for me, the biggest barrier is to actually do the research myself and really find out whether the companies behind those stocks are really what they seem they are and whether they have the potential to actually grow further. So, which is why I personally subscribe to a few stock picking services such as My Wall Street and Motley Fool in order to overcome this barrier of not finding enough time to do my own research.
Yeah, I suppose, in this day and age, we have so much information at hand, with the internet out there, which makes it really hard to decide what are noises and what are some of the facts that, we should consider when we want to, really consider a stock and thinking whether to put money in. So how do you both do to screen out the information identifying these are noises which we should ignore, and these are the facts that we should focus on, and which are the important bits of it, I suppose.
Well, I guess it all depends on the investment horizon that one has in mind, really. For those focusing on speculative trading, which was exactly what I did back then when I was 18, having a technical analysis screener will be very handy. While those focusing on mid to long-term capital and dividend growth will find valuable information in stock research, which was something I learned the painful way. And of course, right, it will always help to do your own research so as to rule out any potential element of bias in our analysis outcome.
Like I mentioned earlier, in my answer, I tend to rely on several recommendations from reputable stock picking services, and from then on, those services act like a screener for me. And when I have those stock recommendations that I like, and I like the thesis behind those companies, I would then deep dive. I do my own deep dive into the companies behind the stocks. So in this instance, I would use resources such as Yahoo Finance to get like a top level view of the company, or how it's been performing over the last couple of years, or even longer than that, and look at important metrics such as market cap and also price to earnings ratio. And I would also, if I have the time and if I really like the company, I would actually go even further. I will look into the company's financial reports and their long-term outlook for their business to really get to understand them better and make my own evaluation whether this company has the potential to 10x in value in the future.
That's very interesting indeed. Yeah, I still remember when I first started, I always find it really hard to, know where to even start when I need to really look into the company and what I should look in. And because of all this pain that we felt when we first started as a beginner investor back then, now it sort of came to us that, we should really craft out something that could help beginner investors. And henceforth, our team has actually come together to develop an app. How exciting that is, right? That would actually address all of these concerns that we once had. And then we have now developed a simulator app that is really interesting because you could actually use it as a beginner or even aspiring investors, to learn to trade in a risk-free environment. And John and Andrew will now share with you some of the key features and benefits of this simulator app of ours. John and Andrew, over to you guys.
Well, when we first ideated what Marion would be like, I wanted to have what is equivalent to digital tips, right? Something that works to clear the fog of war analogy that I used earlier. And yet the vision for this tip must be multifaceted, free from any perceived bias, and relies on a trifecta of expert consensus, reliable numbers from its fundamentals, and yet it can actually measure the actual sentiment of the sector in which the company operates in to capture the behavioral elements of investing that can provide early insights, or as a figure of speech, precognition into what's to come in the future. That's the feature we're excited to bring to Marion, and we can't wait for our users to experience this in our simulator app before we launch our live trading app with this feature too next year.
Woohoo!
I think John sums it perfectly, so I don't think I can add anything, very much on top of what he has said. But I just would like to add that for every single element of our app, they are designed with first-time investors in mind. So don't worry if you're new to the stock market. Marion is here to help you along that journey. So we are building this app, which all of us wish we had when we first started stock investing. So that's Marion vision.
Thank you both. It's great. So thank you all for listening as well. I'm very pleased to inform all of you that the waitlist to the early access of our simulator app is now open at marion.asia. That's MARION.ASIA. And we hope you will join us on this very exciting journey. Don't forget to refer your friends to sign up for a chance to win an iPhone 13. Further details can be found on our website.